Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kevin Carter. I'm the technical sales manager for Northern Illinois and Northwest Indiana for Cetco. We are going to be discussing our Coreflex 60 product today. It is a blend of our passive and active component products, and it's a little bit of a dual waterproofing system. It has various different applications from backfilled walls, plaza decks. So I do want to thank SWRI for giving us this opportunity, and without further ado, we're going ahead and get started. The dual waterproofing system does have a weldable thermoplastic. We're going to discuss the passive component first. It is a PVC key modified thermoplastic, and so it is weldable in a lot of different instances where you might have a liquid plasticizer, something that might allow for waterproofing not really to quite weld after it's been exposed to the elements for a long period of time. Using those solid phase plasticizers with that key alloy actually does increase its chemical resistance as well in certain conditions. So we do see this product used a lot in brownfield and remedial applications. It does contain a contaminant resistant vapor barrier as well. So it does resist our PCs, TCs, benzenes, lots of different kind of those macromolecules that we're seeing more on those brown sites. It is composed of a top coat, as you see in that yellow there, a reinforcement fabric, which is 5-ounce knit polyester fabric. That's actually coated in a PVC compound that allows for this material to stay laminated, stay tight, and not allow any water to propagate along that reinforcement fabric. That reinforcement fabric you see illustrated there. Also does have the bottom coat as well. Again, the yellow and the black are just similar to each other. They're just different colors. So that yellow is more of an indicator layer for when it's buried below grade, just in case you do have projects that are multi-phase. It does also incorporate an active component to the product. So while you do have fully welded seams, applicable for a lot of different situations, you do also have this polymer core that's utilized essentially to swell and kind of fill in any voids, any light damage that occurs to the membrane during application or during subsequent construction activities. The unique polymer makes it a little bit different than a traditional bentonite system. And so when you compare the two, it really does have an improved performance in your contaminated conditions. So with bentonites, you tend to see there's different conditions, different chemicals that can affect its performance. With that being said, that's going to be your heavy metals, your high salinities, chromium, things like that that might end up in the soil. Road salts tend to affect soil chemistry as well over time. And so this will actually swell in a lot of areas where your traditional bentonite systems will not. It also does act as a separation layer for the waterproofing system. So it does actually create a barrier between any kind of existing waterproofing systems, some of those nastier ones, coal tar pitch being one of them. Anytime you're utilizing it for a remedial application, plaza decks, any kind of renovation work such as that, where you do have an existing waterproofing membrane on site. It does also increase its construction survivability. So as I mentioned, it does have it is a polymer core, a little bit different than your traditional bentonite system. The way that's created is essentially that polymer is baked into the geotextile, and the polymerization process, which creates these long chains, essentially lock onto the water in order to create that impermeable barrier. It happens within the actual geotextile. And so with that kind of a technology, it does allow for that active material to remain embedded in the waterproofing system, a little bit different than your traditional loose bentonite. And because the polymerization does occur in the geotextile, the long chains that connect do lock it into the geotextile, where you only see that polymer really leave the material as there's running water over the top, really dragging the material out. It is used in various applications, as I mentioned, under slab and property lines, very common application for the product. It is available in two different size rolls between the 54 and the 66 inch wide rolls actually have two PVC selvage edges, which allow for the production of the actual welding to increase, therefore allowing it to be installed a little bit quicker than, again, your traditional fully welded systems. It is lightweight compared to other composite membranes, and as I mentioned before, it is survivable just due to the construction scheduling. It can withstand those continuous wet-dry cycles as the material is left exposed for more of a prolonged period of time. We also do shotcrete foundation walls with the product. It is a really robust membrane due to the thickness of the actual welded PVC as well as the polymer core. It does resist any kind of puncture from high velocity shotcrete and does have the City of LA certification, the RR as a methane barrier, as well as resistant to shotcrete applications. Because it is a fully welded system, the edges don't have that chance of blowing out or getting any kind of contamination in between the actual laps. And there is no additional detailing necessary when you are using Coreflex as well. So the nice thing is if you do have a project that ends up getting switched from a traditional cast in place system to a shotcrete application, then there's no additional detailing or modification that needs to be made to the waterproofing system. Backfilled walls is another unique application as well with this product. It's similar to other waterproofing installations. It is flexible and conformable. It does change planes very well. A little bit different than some other more heavier, thicker thermoplastics, make it a little bit harder to weld when you've got those quick changes in plane. Leave more void spaces behind the membrane. It is traditionally horizontally installed at the footing to wall joint, just allowing for less welds to cross over that critical juncture, and can be welded in panels on large projects. So that way when it is installed, it does go a little bit quicker, can be installed using spreader bars, just depending on the availability of the cranes and the actual site conditions. And new and existing positives, this is one I did want to point out. It is a loose laid membrane that can be secured just to resist that wind uplift. But again, with that APC separation layer, it can go over your existing waterproofing membranes. So when it comes to anything that's well adhered, liquid applied, you might have a hot rubber or a coal tar system that's beginning to fail. You end up being able to install this material a lot quicker, open your ingresses and egresses sooner, and allow for a little bit more of a simple install without kind of exposing any of your critical infrastructure. Typically with these kind of renovations, the material cost is only about 15 to 20% of the actual install. And so by doing this, you do drastically decrease that construction schedule, which has become more and more important as of late. With that being said, that is the end of the presentation. The Coreflex material is eligible for a 15-year no dollar limit warranty through our HydroShield Quality Assurance Program. As you can see on the slide here, there are various different things that are incorporated with that quality assurance program to make sure that the waterproofing gets done correctly the first time. So if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I do appreciate again SWRI for the opportunity to present here, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Great job.